about. When it comes... Where does it come?
Right down to it, Brian.
When it comes right down to it, I mean, what these games are about a whole lot of fit, young, healthy people coming out here just competing in a spirit of youthful exuberance.
Question over here.
Yeah, if that's the case, what have 2,000 of us been doing for 5 years?
Question over there now.
Yeah, look, I agree. If these games are really about the simple joys of sport and competition, why does it need the IOC and all of us and the government and every other Sydney spiv who wants to get his dick in the till?
I beg your pardon? Who do you think you're talking to, pal? Do you actually work for us?
Yes.
Where do you work?
Publicity.
What's your name?
Listen, son, I mean, before you get abusive, Shag Nasty, you want to consider the prospect of organising something of the magnitude of these games. I mean, this is a serious undertaking. This is not a school gala day we're organising.
Yeah, well, the whole time that I've been working here, I've wondered why it costs $800 million to get a whole lot of fit young people together for some running and throwing.
Yeah, not even going to dignify that with a response.
Brian?
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, why?
Because there's a whole lot of swimming as well.
Just let me say something of a slightly more formal character. I believe that we are on track. We're certainly on time and on budget to achieve success here. We want to showcase Australia as a friendly, welcoming country, obviously, as a diverse and very tolerant country. This is a showcase for our technological and economic excellence, for our cultural achievements, and, of course, for our famous love of... What's that word there, Gina?
Sport.
Sport. Sorry, can't read my own... What's that word there?
Writing.
Writing. Sorry, can't read my own writing. It's extremely important, obviously, to recognise that these games are for all Australians. Now, a few short weeks ago, you may have seen the Prime Minister, the Right Honourable John Howard, stood with a number of other holiday makers somewhere on the Turkish coast at a ceremony designed to highlight the forging of Australia's national character. It is in that Anzac spirit that I want to speak to all of you now. Great demands will be made of us over the next few months, with the world's eyes upon us, the Southern Cross above us, and every Australian ambassador, however. I think we cannot but succeed. We've drawn up some useful guidelines. You'll all have a copy of these in your folders. Let me just go through them quickly. I'd like you to keep this list with you at all times and refer to it constantly. Australia is a bicameral monarchical federation run by the states and with the right of appeal to the media. The capital is Canberra, obviously. The principal industries in this country are coal and the Olympics. If a visitor comments on the high price of accommodation or Olympic tickets, do point out that due to strong management at the highest level, the Australian dollar is roughly now equivalent to the American dime, so they're not getting a bad deal. The reason prices might seem slightly higher in some instances is, of course, Australia's exciting new GST, the long-term benefits of taxation reform far outweighing the relatively minor inconvenience of paying $6.50 for a cup of coffee. If you are with a visitor from overseas in a traffic jam in Sydney, you are to say, "This is very unusual, a truck must have tipped over." If it rains during the period September 15 to October 1, say, "Goodness me, how tremendous, a benediction for Australia's rich farmlands." Of course, if it hails, you know, you want to come inside. Obviously, you could get killed. The Aboriginal population in Australia are a happy and largely nomadic people, and while we're deeply committed to the improvement of their desperate condition, they're perfectly well. You might like to mention Cathy Freeman. Most people have probably heard of her. The name of the man who built the 100 metres track is Mr. Jim Wilson of Acme Construction. He has absolutely nothing to do with this organisation. He's only ever been here the one time.
And we don't think anyone saw him.
No, that's right. He also incidentally designed and built the triathlon track, a range of very high quality ticketing machines, the main runway at Sydney Airport, and lanes 4 and 5 of the Olympic swimming pool. If anyone asks who's paying for these Olympic Games, you are to say, "No speak the English." If attending Olympic events, obviously visitors should be advised to eat before leaving home. That one's quite important. And if attending the swimming, visitors should be advised to take a very powerful telescope and maybe a small amount of oxygen if they're above about row F. The Minister's name is Mr. Michael Knight. Mr. Michael Knight. Beach volleyball is not simply a game of volleyball played on a beach, obviously. It is a game of volleyball best played in a very large neo-Hitler construction which people can't get into without paying and which is built in an area that used to be a beach. That about covers it. Good luck. Bat on.
Yes, question up the back.
Are you aware the US Congress suggested one Antonio Samaranch resign?
Look, I think if you've got any questions that relate to the IOC, you should direct those questions to the IOC.
Were you working on the games when Sydney gave money and gifts to members of the IOC?
No.
Yes, you were.
I'm sorry, I may have misled you. Yes.
Well, what do the IOC actually do?
Brian?
John?
Gina?
The IOC has responsibility for the selection of the venues for the games.
Do they organise the Olympics?
Gina?
John?
Brian?
No, that is done by the host city.
Right. Do they help with funding the Olympics?
John?
Brian?
Gina?
John?
Brian?
No, that is done by the organising committee themselves.
Well, what do the IOC actually do?
Well, as I've just said, they select the city for the games.
Right. And how do they do that?
Well, they travel around the world for many years looking at places where the Olympics might be held.
Have the Olympics ever been held in a brothel?
I beg your
Has
pardon?
anyone got a
I beg your
sensible
pardon?
question?
Just allowed to take this bloke from the
Just
IOC.
excuse me. Look, if you haven't got a sensible question, I suggest you maintain as dignified a silence as you can muster and let some of these other people have a go. Yes.
Where are you going to get the 200 million?
What 200 million?
The 200 million you're short in the budget?
Really? How do you know we're $200 million short in the budget?
I work in finance.
What's the answer to the question?
What was the question?
What was the question?
Is it true the games are 200 million short of funding, and where are you going to get the money?
Brian.
John?
Brian.
Gina?
Brian?
Two questions there. Let me deal with them one at a time. What was your first question?
Is it true the games are 200 million short of funding?
I would need to check that. Let me do so and I'll get that information for you.
Well, it
Yep.
is true. I've got the information in front of me.
Yes, like I said, let me check that and I will get that information for you.
Well, it's got your signature on it, Brian.
Yes, I would need to check that as well. What was your second question?
Where are you going to get the money?
We'll be making an announcement about that at a later date. Yeah.
Well done.
Are there plans for the game staff to be sacked?
No.
Is there?
No, look, that's an internal matter and I don't think it's appropriate to be discussing staffing arrangements at this point in time about the games.
Just say no, bro.
So there are plans for all of us who work here to keep working there?
Look, as Brian has articulated, this is probably not the right venue for a discussion of staff levels at the Games Office.
I've got a list of 60 people who are going to be sacked.
Where'd you get that from?
You shouldn't have that list.
Well, from what you said, this list shouldn't exist.
It didn't.
It doesn't.
You shouldn't have a copy of it either.
Is all this going to be on television?
Is all what going to be on television?
Well, last year there was a television show all through the office. We had to work with TV cameras pointed at us.
Yeah, if it's any comfort to you, it was a great deal worse for us.
Well, is there going to be another series of that?
Not if we've got anything
No.
to do
No.
with it.
I don't think there
so.
is. No.
Were you happy with the first series?
No, I don't think it came off.
I didn't see a great deal of it.
You don't get to
myself,
see a lot
to be
of
honest.
TV when you're doing a job like this.
A
No,
bit
no.
busy.
Question over here now.
Yeah.
It was on the ABC.
Yeah, no,
Yes, we
well
know.
aware of where it was. I know very well where it was. I'm just saying I don't think they're going to go again. No.
Yeah, we were in it.
We certainly haven't heard about it.
No,
Did
no.
it rate well, the earlier series?
I don't know. We got any other
No
questions?
No,
questions?
it rated very well.
Did it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Will Sam Neill be coming back?
Sam Neill? Don't know.
I liked it when he was here.
Yeah, well, Sam's a very good fellow.
Very nice person.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Can we get perhaps off this subject and move perhaps more?
You don't want it on again, do you?
Well, I don't.
Beg your pardon, what are you saying?
The television thing, you don't seem to want it on again.
Oh, well, look, let me be clear. I mean, this possibly wouldn't be our decision anyway. I mean, I saw some of the episodes of the thing and, I thought they were mildly interesting, but then again, I'm interested in the sort of work we do. But obviously it didn't set the world on fire and they're not going to go again.
It's a lot easier to do your job without a camera following you around.
Yeah, that's right.
It's actually quite a good use of television.
Good for who?
In what way?
Good for society.
Well, bugger society, you don't get any work done.
Yeah, a bit difficult to get anything done.
You must have been disappointed when it all came out.
What do you mean
Sorry?
disappointed in the way it all came out?
The way things have gone since, I mean, it's all become a bit of a fiasco.
I would reject that.
A fiasco? In what sense has it become a fiasco?
Well, it's a joke. I mean, my friends don't even know I work here.
Where do they think you work?
I told them I design websites at the Commonwealth Bank.
What do you say to those people who say you made fools of yourselves?
Oh, I
beg
don't
your
think we
pardon?
made
I don't think we
fools
made
of
fools of
ourselves.
ourselves, no.
no.
Not at all. You mean when we're on television?
Yes.
No,
No, I don't think we made fools of ourselves.
at all,
No, not at all.
Quite
Well,
the
here
reverse.
you were on television thinking it'd be great for PR.
It was
Yeah,
great
it
for
was
PR.
fantastic
We
for
make
PR.
no mistake
Well,
about that.
Right.
Absolutely.
But it was obvious to everyone that it wasn't working.
Have we got any other questions?
Any other
other
questions?
questions anywhere?
Anywhere?
The whole country was laughing at us.
Look, come on, I don't think that's right.
That's not right.
It is right.
Look, it might not have been the most successful TV show in the history of the world, but don't insult us, please, by telling us people were just laughing at us.
Well, people said that all over the country.
Well, no one said it to
I didn't
me.
hear anyone saying it. Anyway, let's not discuss this. I don't think people were laughing at us.
They weren't. Any other
It
questions?
was a joke.
Look,
I would
if it
reject
was a
that.
joke and people were laughing at us, surely we would be back on television tonight.
That's a very good point. I mean, we would be on television now if
Now.
people had found it amusing. I mean, they'd want more of it. That's the way television works.
And it wasn't amusing anyway. Have a look at what the paper said
That's
about
right.
it.
Did you see what the critics said about it? No wonder they ever put it back on again.
Absolutely right.
No one takes any notice of the critics.
Oh,
Well,
come on, come on.
someone must take
There's
notice
got to
of
be a
them.
reason they're in the paper.
Most of them are
course.
idiots.
Well, why are they in the paper?
What are they doing in the paper then?
Nobody reads them.
What are they doing in the newspaper?
They don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, come on, there is not much point in dumping on TV critics.
That's right. I mean, these are very professional people and they're doing a, I think, very difficult job.
They watch television.
Look, they don't only watch television.
They must eat.
They've got to have a break from time to time, don't they?
I mean, air traffic controllers have a break every 4 hours.
And then they've got to write stuff about it.
Exactly. I don't know how they do it.
Well, I know not one of them has ever worked in television.
Well, I think some of them are very good.
I agree. I mean, I think it's a gift. Some people have got it.
Are there any actual questions about the Olympics?
Why are the tickets the wrong size to fit the little slot that you've got to put the tickets in?
Yeah, look, actually, this never came out, but the tickets are actually exactly the right size. It's the little slots they're supposed to go into that aren't quite the right size.
Why couldn't the tickets be made in Australia?
Yeah, I can answer that.
That's why we've got the Olympics, so Australian businesses can benefit.
Yes, that's right, but we don't have the technology to manufacture the tickets in this country.
We don't have the
These
machines.
are quite complicated tickets. Have you seen them? Have you seen the tickets?
Yes, I have.
Yes, so they're not just simply a piece of paper.
No, they don't just have, you know, admit one written on them.
No, they don't, John.
Well, what have they got written on them?
Can I make a point here?
Yes,
These tickets have actually got stuff written on both sides of
that's right. They have quite a lot of detail written on them, and that doesn't just appear there by magic.
And they've got information on them as well that's different from the writing.
That's right, Brian. They have a
Yeah.
logo on them.
Yeah.
So we can't put a logo on a ticket in Australia.
You've got to do it in a way that they can't be forged.
Oh, geez, are you expecting forgery to be a problem?
No, we're not, because you can't
No.
forge these.
Can't be done.
You see, this is why we've gone with these particular tickets.
Do you
right.
think people will try to forge them?
Well, it's
No, but
always
otherwise
a
that would be
possibility,
the
I have
risk.
to
Obviously,
say.
that's what
Yeah.
we're trying to deal with here.
And you're saying these tickets that you're getting from America can't be forged?
You can't forge the ones
Can't
we're
forge
getting,
them.
no.
How do you know?
Can't be done. You cannot forge these tickets.
How are you going to know that at this stage? I mean, surely you're not going to find that out till afterwards. What happens if they can be forged?
They can't be forged. These particular tickets cannot be forged.
But how are you going to know that at this stage?
Well, that's the position.
Who told you?
The
The people who make the
making the
tickets, they
tickets.
confirmed that.
Yeah,
I mean, they're expert in tickets,
that's why we're getting the tickets from them.
obviously.
Goodness me.
How are you going for sponsors?
Come and see us
I think
afterwards.
that's a general question.
Why have Channel 7 pulled out?
Well, they haven't.
Are they still a major sponsor?
Officially?
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
We have
Very
a very
much so.
strong relationship with Seven.
Or why have they cancelled our advertising?
Well, I wasn't aware they had.
Why did Channel 7 want to be a sponsor?
Well, why wouldn't they be?
Well, they're a pretty big, major prestige broadcaster. Channel 7 would be, you know, one of the big six in Australian broadcasting.
Well, Big Four.
Big three, really.
Well, Big Two, really. They're the second biggest network.
Well, they're the second biggest commercial network.
Second biggest network, aren't they?
No, they don't even go to half the country. The ABC would be the biggest network.
Is it?
Yeah, it goes all over the country, the ABC.
Does the government know about this?
I would imagine it's leaked out by now, even in those quarters.
And of course, Channel 7 have a big emphasis on sport.
They do,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, Channel 7 in corporate terms would want to be in this in a pretty big way.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
but why do they want to be a sponsor? I mean, they've already paying for the broadcasting.
Well, that
rights. They
really
don't
would
need
be
to
a business
sponsor.
decision for Channel 7.
Are Channel 7 good at making business decisions?
Channel 7 are a billion-dollar company.
They've got the Brownlow.
They do.
I hear you've written to us telling us that last year didn't go so well.
What do you mean you hear I've written to you? I mean, that letter hasn't even gone out yet. Where did you find that out from?
In the paper.
Oh, my giddy. I mean, I'm just about jack of this. Why does everything leak out of this organisation?
Apparently you're writing to us to tell us to keep the faith.
Oh, God, am I?
Oh, this is hopeless. This is hopeless.
It is absolutely.
Oh, look, I'm just wondering what sort of faith we should be keeping.
I'll tell you what faith we should be keeping, Captain Cynical, since you ask. I would say this to you, and I would say it to the broader Australian community. I would say, don't let the knockers drag you down. Keep your head high. Cling on to your dream.
Climb every mountain.
That's right.
Board every train.
I think it's ford every stream.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh, is it Ford every stream?
Yeah.